One of the things I said I always wanted to do when I got a little bit bigger as a channel is I wanted to pay it forward to all the cool channels that helped me become the channel that I am today. So when I was very small, I was approached by bigger channels than me, quite bigger channels than me, that said, "Hey, you got a really cool thing going on. Let me help you out." Today, I'm trying to pay it forward a little bit for two. Well, I wouldn't say they're both YouTubers. One is kind of on Rumble, the other one is on YouTube. I just thought I'd help pay it forward a little bit. These individuals had reached out to me in the past. We never really could make it work. Today, I made it work by sitting down with Ellie from Truth Inc. on Rumble and Jason Estes on Estes Crime Maze. I'll show both of those pages in just a minute. If you want to check this out, it's a conversation that I had with these two individuals, a little smaller channels than me on different on some different platforms and such, but cool conversation. We were going to talk about Idaho 4 originally, but today we're going to talk about Charlie Kirk. We're going to talk a little bit about Idaho 4. We're going to talk about 9/11. We're going to talk about, and I guess one of the things on the thumbnail is, yeah, the possibility that one of these individuals thinks that Charlie Kirk might actually still be alive. Is that even possible? Never underestimate the possibility that anything in this case is possible. So check out this interview and then give a like, a subscribe, or a follow to one of those platforms on Rumble. Check out Ellie or on Jason Etsy. I'm going to put those up on screen here in just a moment. Let me check this out. Now on screen is Ellie's page, Truth Inc. This is on Rumble. It's rumble.com/c/c-292511 is the link. Maybe I'll put that actually in the notes as well, so it's above so you can get the URL a little easier. Truth Inc. Ellie does a lot of the setup on StreamYard for myself and Jason Estes, which I'm going to show you here, this Estes Crime Maze. This is his page on YouTube, Estes Crime Maze. Help him out. 530 subscribers over there. Subscribe to that channel. Help boost this channel. Pay it forward for me. Let them know that you were here and you're like, hey, DA sent me to you, and give them some love. Also, again, on Ellie's page, you can follow there if you're on Rumble. I don't have a Rumble account set up. It's one of the only platforms I haven't set up, but Ellie's not on YouTube, so follow that over there as well. And check out this video. And again, this was an informal, not scripted, completely off the cuff riff between three creators who have never spoken before in this kind of format. And again, we talk about Charlie Kirk, we talk about Idaho 4 a little bit, we talk about 9/11, we talk about the Patriot Act, we talk about a lot of crazy stuff. Just give it a listen if you're willing, and like and subscribe to these content creators as well to help pay it forward and let them know that you saw them on my show. Thanks for giving them a check out. Hope you enjoy it. Take it easy.
There, I'd like to introduce our guests, Lee and Jason.
Thanks for having me on the show. I'm excited to talk with you guys.
Awesome. Yeah, no, it's this kind. I kind of consider this a trifecta. I don't consider this as any specific, like you're not coming on my show or anything. So, so three great minds coming together on two great subjects. The first one obviously is happening now, which is the Charlie Kirk assassination. And personally, I have my own views about it, but they're kind of changing as we go with everything that's coming out. Originally, I thought, wow, okay, Antifa blew this guy away, but now everything that's come out, all the inconsistencies, all the idiocies, all the corruption, the fake emails, all this other stuff that's come out that I like to talk about.
Yeah.
To you. And what's your take on this case, Lee?
Well, I mean, yeah, just like you said, I mean, I focus a lot on my channel about narrative shaping and how mainstream media tries to tell a narrative. And so right off the bat, I said, here we go. This is going to be some, radical liberal has waged war against the conservative party, and the narrative is going to be set, and that's the way we're going to go. I have a tendency to try to avoid making every single story in America be a conspiracy, but how do you not dive into potential conspiracies when you're talking Charlie Kirk, who's one of the most polarizing individuals in the country? And when he got shot, I thought everything is going to stop in America, and all we're going to be talking about is Charlie Kirk for the next year, probably, because this case is enormous.
Yeah, well, it seems to be the way for sure. And, like I said, it's ongoing. It's ever changing. We're finding out more and more. But will we ever find the actual truth? I don't know. It's like, what are your thoughts, Jason?
Well, I totally agree with Lee Devil's Advocates there on the narrative. I love how he does his videos and how you break down mainstream media's narrative, Devil's Advocates, and you give your own profound knowledge on real history as well. And Ellie knows a lot more about history than I do too. But I think, as one YouTuber said, and it's not just, this wasn't my own thoughts, but I agree that every major assassination really in the United States and UK is done by who? CIA and Mossad. My big question, as I said on TikTok, was it really an unaliving? Is it possible the whole thing was staged? Now, we get snipers and other YouTubers, and they love to talk about the ballistics. We could talk about that. What angle was the shot? But they never really do say, well, wait a second, what if it wasn't a bullet? Wouldn't reason, logic, common sense be actually, what about a pellet? What about the picture that shows, sure as hell looks like a blood pack in the top of Kirk's chest? And we could talk about why Kirk may be out the back door, why the CIA, the feds extracted this guy. And anyway, I'm going to stop right there. Thanks for listening. Your turn.
Right. Yeah, you could go on and on and on with all of those theories for sure.
We all could. Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's like Stu Peters and Alex Jones are going at each other right now, like it's a cat fight, because one of them saying that that they're an Israel, the other guy's an Israel agent, and back and forth. The main thing is this: at this point, we don't even have to worry about who did it. We have to worry about what happened. Now, What's your opinion on that whole thing?
About the lapel mic or whatever? It's funny because I just did a video today. It was similar to a video I did on the Idaho 4 actually, which was my top theories ranked. Every single day there seemed to be a new theory about what angle Charlie Kirk was shot from, whether it was a squib, whether it was a blister pack and it's all a Hollywood theater and he didn't really die, whether it was a hologram. There's a new theory every day. Palm gun I've heard, a cell phone gun I've heard, came from down low in the audience, came from up high on a roof, came from the side, came from behind. So the lapel mic was one that made my list of top 10 ones. You do see what looks like a black spot that could be a lapel mic. Some are saying that could have been a projectile weapon that could have literally fired a little miniature round. I don't know. It starts to get a little, I'm really careful about which theories I go down. So when I put it on my list of top 10 ranked, it was pretty low on the likelihood for me personally. However, I never discount anything. That's one thing I've learned in this business is don't ever discount any theory because you never know what you're going to be surprised about. So
exactly. Well, the whole lapel thing, why would he be wearing a lapel mic when he had a mic that he had to keep reaching to get? If he had a lapel mic, he wouldn't need a manual mic. So I don't think that was specifically a mic. It might have been a backup mic, but
along that lines, I want to give room for, Jason to speak too, but along that lines, there was all this discussion about the mic. And like you said, he's picking up a mic. So does he need a lapel mic? And you're right. Maybe it's a backup mic. There was also indication that he had an earpiece around his ear and that when his head gets shot, you can see the shadow of the earpiece flying out of his head, which some people say is blood mist. Some people said that he had a necklace on and a pendant's what you see flying behind his head. So you've got what exactly, whether he was wearing a bulletproof vest or not wearing a bulletproof vest, there's a million theories as everybody breaks down the thing. So I don't think it's outside the possibility that he had a lapel mic in addition to his mic. I've seen that kind of stuff before, so it's possible. But again, you start breaking down those until the officials come and tell you 100% that was a lapel mic, then we're all left to speculate and make up theories and ask what the deal is and why we can't get straight answers.
But that's the thing. We're not getting any answers. We're not getting any, even to our questions. We're even the bigs, Ricky, Alex Jones, all the big creators are saying we're not buying it. Gun experts, nurses and doctors, not buying. We're not buying this. So what's the real story? And they won't come out and say. Kash Patel's been quiet about anything, about answering any questions. What they need to do is a press conference to straighten out. I mean, how many shooters are there? This is the 3 on the rooftops, like you said, plus 4 or 5 in the audience, plus, that people were accusing his own team of killing them. And So
I don't know if it was you, or I don't know if it was you or that it was Jason that said, it's almost like the bigger question isn't what angle it came from, but why did somebody want Charlie Kirk dead? Because you need to work back from that. Who all wanted? There's a lot of people, by the way, a lot of people who wanted Charlie Kirk dead, and some of those relate to Israeli intelligence. Some of them relate to his pressure on the White House to release the Jeffrey Epstein files and a list of who was on the Jeffrey. That's one of my biggest things. I think his pushing for the Jeffrey Epstein's release is what probably contributed to his death. And one other thing about that, before I get your guys' opinion on it or whatever, is just that when somebody's assassinated, a lot of times it's more than one reason, right? So, and I talked to this about with another individual. When someone of this caliber, of this public figure gets assassinated, it's usually not just one reason. What happens is a number of people want him dead, and they go, at this point, there's enough reasons to have him dead that we will work together and assassinate this guy, because it serves multiple agendas at one time. So I'm not even sure you can necessarily work back from one theory. There may be multiple people that wanted him dead, and then when that all kind of lined up with enough interest, you get a job.
Yeah, I think the left was used as basic fall guys. I don't think that kid shot him. The kid, and I haven't heard this myself, but I heard it from a creator, and I had the video that this kid has said he didn't shoot them. He didn't shoot him. He didn't get the shot. So I haven't heard that anywhere else. In court, he was totally silent, just nodding. That was all he did. So basically, we can't verify that, but apparently the people's voice is saying that he said he didn't shoot the shot.
Yeah. And I don't know. If you've watched any of my content, I do say this phrase a lot of times, which is that in this country, we're supposed to have the presumption of innocence until proven guilty in a court of law. So he hasn't had day one in his court yet. So let's give the guy a listen, because if he said he didn't do it, then we need to start asking, if you didn't do it, then who did? And let's not just presume it's him, because the narrative works good that way.
Well, it's funny because a guy was interviewing people all over the stadium at Charlie Kirk's memorial, and he said 0 people think that this kid killed him. 0 people believe that kid did what he did, crawled up on the roof, assembled the gun, put a scope on it, got a perfect shot off, unassembled the gun, jumped down, reassembled the gun, left it in the park, and took off. That would take about an hour and a half total. Right? I've seen the breakdown of the gun, which would not fit in a knapsack. The guy had a king backpack, and this gun stick out both pieces about a foot. This gun doesn't go down to a small little package. So there's no how did he get the gun from there to the park?
Well, I had heard, and I don't know if it's true, but I had heard that they supposedly that he had stuffed the rifle down his pant leg and was walking with a stiff leg in there, and that was seen on video that he was exactly what Jason's doing is he was stiff legging it because he had the rifle down the pant leg. So I've heard a lot of things, and what's the official story that's going to stick? I don't know.
Well, the gun guys are saying there's no way that would, there's just no way you walk, even if you had it apart and in 2 different pieces, you could not walk with that in your leg. So they said it would.
But what I don't hear these professional snipers, and I respect each and every one of the work that they do, and a lot of times I'm sure they've done covert work. And who knows what agency some of them have worked for, and they come on YouTube, and I don't hear them, at least I haven't heard them really say, well, wait a sec, if it was a real assassination, if we want to believe in part of what we're seeing, right, the shot and the aftermath, and I could explain a little bit that aftermath staging, I believe, but they don't explain, well, wait, why wasn't there forensics done? As you guys know, why take the tent down right away? Why is there cement everywhere? All the pictures are there to show that. It makes absolutely no sense unless it was all staged. And let me just add, I was briefly on the interview with the YouTuber, and forgive me, everyone, I forget his name. He's a cool black dude, bald like me. Gave him a nice compliment on his bald look at the end of our little live there. He's got over 200,000 subs, and anyway, he has every angle of the incident of what happened to Kirk, every angle.
Yeah, me too.
And The point being, we talked about it looks like there's a trap door on the grass. And the YouTuber was pretty convinced of it. And he was afraid, he didn't want to say that the unaliving was fake. You know, he can't say that on his YouTube channel. They took a video down and on YouTube said that there were, you can't, something go against the victimhood of Kirk, basically is what the thing was. Anyway, so let's say Kirk went down the trap door. That's easy enough for the feds to do. So the guy that they lifted, and by the way, when Kirk got shot, the security is the one that knocked him off the chair. You'd think a high-powered rifle, and this is what I like to talk about snipers, wouldn't that knock you off that chair backwards? We didn't see that. But the point being, they picked the guy they picked up has the same shirt as Kirk, but there's no Freedom logo on it. I can send and show you guys on this edited version. There's no logo on there. It was pure white. And the sneakers, you later see them carry the guy off. The sneakers are, there's no grass on the, it's like brand new sneakers. Kirk was walking on the grass. So I thought that was a really great point. You could see it for yourself, folks. No Freedom logo. So did they use somebody else? Is Kirk, like Ellie and I think, possibly on that jet plane with no transponders, folks? And, you know, 6 hours to get to the airport from where the incident happened.
No. It was an hour. I was originally told the plane took off 20 minutes after the shooting. Then the video, it says an hour. Okay, so that's fair enough. An hour to get to the airport, get everything set up, and get him up in the air. They turn off all the transponders and radar so that they can't be seen, which is kind of dangerous when you think about it. But it was either the shooter, which I don't believe there was one, and or it was Kirk. I think it was Kirk. I think Trump got him out of there because he knew they were going to go kill him. And boom.
Yeah, devil's advocate's right. There's a lot of reasons you would think for the elites to get Kirk gone, whether it be a real assassination or I believe it was fake. And Ellie's right. The Trump administration, apparently Kirk would have been an asset to the Trump administration. In their interview, Ellie, you can verify that Kirk's father helped build Trump Towers, you said. And that's a great reason to protect Kirk. And he had, of course, Kirk had Trump's shirt, you know, with the assassination where supposedly he got shot in the ear magically. Trump survived that. The cartilage was fine. You know, it's crazy. Remember when Trump went down? TikTok wouldn't allow me to show the picture of Trump and give my analysis that I agree with Dr. Shiva. You get shot in the head or you don't. Shiva added, you know, I could give you the mathematical probabilities of a bullet. Anyway. But back to Kirk, folks. Because there was no ballistic analysis, no forensic investigation, you got to believe, well, wait a second.
Autopsy.
It can't be a real assassination or they do a forensic investigation, wouldn't they? That's the way I look at this too, you know.
And that guy was in a casket within a day and a half. That's
wow.
You said something in your rant that I want to. It's the first time I'm mentioning this. One thing to keep in mind: if the round was a 30-06 round, and the narrative is that you've heard probably this narrative that, you know, miraculously his bones were so dense that it stopped the bullet inside of his neck, right? And that it became lodged in his neck. Think about, I'm not a super ballistics expert, but I will tell you this. If the bullet went through and through, you might be able to say, oh, that's why he's still in his chair, and they pull him off the chair. But if all of that kinetic force was stopped inside the neck, that would have knocked his ass off that chair, in my opinion, like nothing. And so the fact that, like you say, he literally is pushed off the chair suggests the round had to have gone through and through and not stopped inside, because all of that force would have knocked his ass off the chair, in my opinion. But I'm not an expert. That's a theory that I was like, how did that not knock him off the chair if it stopped in his neck?
Exactly.
I wish snipers would say that. Exactly, devil's advocates. And I'm telling you guys, when you look at that picture, no Freedom logo on the guy that they used to pick up off the ground that we're supposed to think is Kirk. That tells you, man, it wasn't Kirk. It's so crazy. And you don't think the feds can do this, folks? It's called a public extraction. They're doing a psyop right in front of our eyes, the most hideous psyop, I believe, that you can imagine. And the wife is she an actress in all this? They got to have an actor, actress, right? Ellie said it, other people have said it. She claims she didn't sleep. Rightly so, right? If Kirk has been assassinated the night after, you're not going to get any sleep. Well, she sure as hell looked well rested.
Yeah.
And other people are starting to say, is that even her in some of these pictures? Like the CIA, my friends, they use different people. We know this, actors, actresses, crisis actors. You don't think there was crisis actors in this PSYOP? Come on.
Well, there was a ton of them. They interviewed some of them because they were all saying he got shot in the chest. He got shot in the side. He got, not one of them said the neck, right? And then the one guy that they shut him down, he was in a red shirt, and he was saying that he got shot, and he was explaining what happened. And then the guy who's coming and got rid of him, he was some high-end Jewish dude, shut him down and got rid of him from the interview so he wouldn't talk anymore, right? So a lot of nefarious things about this whole situation.
It's fascinating.
Yeah, I'm not buying the fact that there was no blood splatter. Either way, no matter what, there should have been blood splatter. Even if a bullet came from a lapel or a bullet 30-06 or, whatever, bullet, a gun, a fucking a cell phone gun, there would be blood splatter.
Yeah.
So where's the blood splatter? Where's the blood trail when they carried him to the truck? That was a dummy. And you could tell by the way the foot was dangling, it was a dummy. It was not a real foot. So what the hell's going on? Why are they doing this elaborate bullshit that didn't even go off anyway because no one believes it? What gives?
Well, I mean, and I guess ultimately that's what you're going to have to help people with and so I'm not attacking your view on that, but if you're going to say that that it wasn't Kirk and that they hauled like Jason's saying, okay, so the shirt doesn't have freedom on it. What happened to the T-shirt? The sneakers don't match. If we're going to go down that rabbit hole and we're going to say that wasn't Kirk they hauled away, then what people are going to need to understand is why would they do that? Because that's the question they always ask. Well, why would they do something like that? What is the benefit of faking Kirk's death? And so you have to be able to, not, I mean, it's rhetorically, but you have to be able to tell people in ways that they can understand why somebody would go through the lengths of faking Charlie Kirk's death. What purpose does it serve? What's the end goal of
because
faking his
they
death?
think devil's advocates, the public is so stupid and brainwashed that you're going to buy into it, and you guys aren't stupid. You see the red flags, but that it's a perfect distraction, as you guys sort of alluded to earlier, isn't it? We're talking about it, but I'm glad we are. We want the truth out as best we can, and it's a fascinating story all the way around. I don't want to sound mean on Kirk. I never followed him very much, but when I did hear him, I didn't really trust him, and especially when I knew he was pro-Israel all the way through, up until a few weeks before his death. Ellie's talked about why she thinks that he sort of made that bitch switch. Ellie said a switch there when a veteran talked about 9/11, and it sort of looked like it woke up Kirk's eyes, about the passport, about it being an Israeli Mossad sort of operation. Now we know. But the most important life, as I said on TikTok, it's to tell the truth at the right time. Kirk didn't tell the truth at the right time during the genocidal campaign on those innocent Palestinians to get that land grab until a few weeks, because all of his followers are asking the same thing, guys, right? Why are the Israelis, and most of them are amazing people, but why are the elites over there? Why are they killing all these Palestinians and invading Gaza? For what? And who created Hamas? Israel. But Kirk didn't say that. You got to ask yourself, was Kirk part of an intelligence operation besides this event? I wonder, was he working for an agency? Ellie said, we know he was controlled by somebody. You usually, when you get to that level, you're controlled. What's that, Ellie?
I think you're going way off base. I think
okay. All right.
He supported Israel because a lot of his donors were Jews. So
yes.
Naturally, they're saying, well, please, will you support our cause? Like he would go, yeah, because he had no reason not to. At that point, there was no questions in his mind. But after a while, he started learning everything he learned. After October 7th, he admits that, was there a stand down order? There's no way that it could take that long for Israeli forces to get there. When you could, anywhere
That's
you
right.
go in that country, you walk into a 19-year-old with an MR-14 or whatever, right? So, or AR-14. So No, he started to ask questions. He was talking about the fact that they were almost in civil war because this Netanyahu guy is taking their constitution and he's rewriting it himself to suit his narrative, and they're not happy about it. So, I mean, there's all this stuff that Charlie was questioning. And then the fact that the Jewish donors are controlling all the Christian conservative commentators. And he didn't recognize that fact. And then Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson and all them joined in an episode with Candace and them and said, yes, we're all going through the same thing. We're taking a lot of heat and flack for questioning Jewish activity.
Yeah, once you do that, that's a bullseye on you. You got to get Kirk removed, gone. But it's not gone like we're told. He's extracted. I believe he's gone somewhere else, folks.
But it doesn't mean the Jews did it. I mean,
no.
It could have been the CIA. It could have been Trump himself.
Yes.
We don't know. We don't even know if the guy's dead or alive. Like, this is all kind of in the air right now. Like, I did not believe he was dead. But now the last 2 days, with all the video I'm seeing, especially of the lapel shots, see, the one video I put out, the guy said the black dot jumped from here to his neck and started splurting blood. And I thought, yeah, it did, because it's in his video. It does. But now in Stu Peters' video, I see that thing got caught in the shirt folded over on top of it. So it did kind of disappear from sight, but it was still there. Right? So
and I want to take a moment to address that, because it's one of the elephants in the room, which is that people need to, and this is my personal rant, people need to give people a little bit of grace when they're discussing this issue and all the theories, because whenever, like, if somebody jumps on the lapel mic thing and then later on a new video surfaces it from a different angle and you see something you didn't do, it's okay, people, to say, hey, look, I originally thought that this based on this video, but now that I've seen 10 other videos from a different angle, I think differently. That's okay. Instead, what's happening is we're trying to polarize this country and say, you're an effing idiot for mentioning this. You've been debunked. You've been deproven. Shut your mouth. You can't talk anymore because you've been proven wrong. And at the end of the day, we just want to know what happened. And there's new videos that are surfacing all the time, and we should be allowed and be given the grace to change our opinions and revise things as we see new data and get more data points, and quit treating each other like we're jerks because we jumped on something and said, hey, this is what I see today. And it may change tomorrow, but this is what I see today. So
I just think we should leave our minds open, because my mind has been kind of changed since this started. And I admit, like I said, same with the Idaho 4. You proved me wrong, and I'll admit I was wrong. And I saw things wrong. Nobody would do that. But with this case, it's still in the air right now. Everyone's coming out with their own views, but nobody should be intimidating anyone. You're totally right on that. No one should be saying, you're an idiot because you don't believe what I believe, or, you know, we've already decided. You haven't decided anything, because not all the evidence has been looked at yet.
Sorry, go ahead.
Here's the other big thing that I want to say. Sorry to jump on you, but the other thing, a big thing I want to say is too, now Trump, and when I say Trump, that doesn't mean I'm political. Like this, if I have a beef about Trump, they're all crooked. In my opinion, all politicians, whether it doesn't matter what camp you're on. But now that Trump's trying to say, hey, look, there's a war in America of radical leftists, and we need to go to shoot them down, and they're using the assassination of Kirk as part of the narrative, and Luigi Mangione of Brian Thompson as part of the narrative, and whoever shot the ICE agents as part of the narrative. They're using that narrative now to pit America against each other, left versus right, and it's going to ultimately be trying to shut down free speech. Anybody who talks and questions the narrative is going to be considered a terrorist sympathizer. Oh, you're just sympathizing with radicalists and terrorists, and you're part of the problem now. What I want to point out is this. The reason why we have so many theories out there is a fundamental fact that America has lost trust in American media. We know we're being lied to. We may not know what the truth is, but what we do know is we're being lied to. And so it's your problem, America. It's your problem, mainstream media, why we're all doing this. Quit shaming us for doing it, because the reason we're doing it is because we've lost trust in you. You have failed us, and we know you're lying about shit, and we know you're just a puppet for the government. So you're going to have people question the story. So that's on you, in my opinion.
Yeah, great point. That's a great point, because like I said, I've lost faith in media 20, 30 years ago, because I feel myself getting dumber as I watch them and listen to them. I had to turn it off. I couldn't, So
That's what it does.
People who are so media tolerant and media focused are losing faith in them as well, because it's just gotten so stupid. It's like you're watching The View every time you turn on the news, right? Personal opinions, and nothing is fact and nothing's provable, yet they're saying you got to believe us because we're the news.
But we're smarter than that. And guys, I think it's important to note, I said it on my videos a lot with Ellie. I wasn't the first one to say this. Unfortunately, there was a guy who beat me to it. He looks like he's a very smart guy. He's got a good channel. I haven't seen all his videos, but I don't know if he served in the military. He's a big guy. And Ellie will remember. He said, Devil's Advocates, I don't know if you ever heard him say this, and I don't know if Birdie or other YouTubers have ever played what he said. USC Code 31 Witstick. And what does that allow? It allows your United States there, Devil's Advocates, the feds, to stage a violent event if a confidential informant especially has been compromised. They will protect confidential informants. They will protect government officials, and they can fake deaths. How do they do it? They use national security, and they have exemptions under the Patriot Act and prosecutorial discretion. Think the Idaho 4 with the prosecution there. Mr. What's his name? I forget. He's all in on it, right? And then you get the defense attorneys. You don't think they know really what happened to those students? And with the Kirk incident, is that what we saw? I think we're discussing it already. Yeah, they staged a violent event. And we know the reasons, because what we've just talked about, the division, and they want to try to create division, distraction, and you got to do these psyops. And the feds, they practice this stuff, folks. But like Ellie said, I mean, it's almost as if they did it poorly on purpose. I mean, it's just wild, all the red flags in this case. Again, no forensic investigation, just like the Idaho 4 Devil's Advocates, remember? There was no real forensic investigations. As Bertie said, they didn't have slippers at times. They didn't have masks at times. Sometimes they did. And no body bags, as Ellie and I kept saying. No leaked crime scene photos. The Kirk one is a lot different, though. We've got the photos. We got the live video feed.
We watched it happen. So
we watched it.
Like what happened in Idaho was behind closed doors, so only people who were privy would get that, and which obviously that they didn't think anyone was privy. But in this case, we watched it happen. So I mean, there's nothing they could really hide except what they hid when it happened.
It's difficult. Right? It's difficult, Jason. That what you said was correct. How do I word this? So I want to be careful. I don't want to be labeled as a guy who jumps on conspiracy theory on every freaking thing that happens in America. However, if you're going to have a conspiracy, Charlie Kirk is the person you do it with, because that's the kind of person you would have a real conspiracy on, much more than an Idaho 4. And there's plenty of people that think that was a conspiracy, but even more so, a Charlie Kirk is the kind of person you would have that kind of government conspiracy on. But to your point, and while I'm careful how I say this, you're right. Laws are in place that allow things like the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act, which allows the government to basically propagandize the American people. They can use the media to put propaganda and tell the American people what to think on media. That's allowed. For a while, we were forbidden from using propaganda against our own people, and then they revised it and said, yeah, it's okay now to use propaganda against your own people. Same thing with Project Mockingbird and the history of there, where the CIA pays media to tell a certain narrative. And so, yes, the tools are in place. And just like you said, the key phrase that they use all the time now is national security. You can get away literally with murder in this country if you throw the word national security on top of it. And you can justify it too. Any horrendous thing we do, if it's for the better of the country, it's a national security issue. So we can get away with literally murder if somebody deems that it's in our nation's best interest for this to happen. Then you can do whatever you want and wrap it up in national security and not talk about it, and it's okay.
Yes, and they used the Patriot Act and prosecutorial discretion as exemptions, and we saw that completely in the Idaho 4. They get to seal records. It explains all this if you look into it. They can do anything that they want. Like you said, national security there in the United States. Excuse after excuse, 9/11, you're still living under 9/11 rules, emergency the Emergency Act, right? And Canada, we saw it with the trucker movement. That's why this Kirk incident is very important, I think, right? Because if you don't try to get the truth out of what you really think happened in this and talk about the staging, folks, then this is going to happen potentially a lot at times, right? Like assassination, try to override your rights there, your amazing U.S. Bill of Rights. And Kirk was mum on the U.S. Bill of Rights, which I find fascinating. If you're a change agent, you better at some point discuss that miraculous legislation that many countries abide by, sovereign nations, those values that came out of the U.S. Bill of Rights. In Canada, we got the Canadian Bill of Rights, which is almost as powerful as the U.S. Bill of Rights. And the cat's out of the bag now on that, you know.
No, I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole in 9/11, but I want to use what you said as an example. It's been nearly a quarter of a century now since September 11th. 1 million cameras filmed the area in which a plane hit the Pentagon, and to this day, no one has seen the video footage because of national security. You tell me why, if a plane hit the Pentagon, for example, and I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of 9/11 too far, but the point being is 25 years have gone by essentially now, and we still can't see the videos in America because of national security. What the hell could there possibly be a national security issue for us to just see the plane hit the Pentagon? Why would it be? And yet Americans buy it. They just keep buying it. Well, sorry, we can't see that for national. What literally could you be hiding at this point? Everybody supposedly knows what happened, so just show the footage. It's been
same with JFK. Exactly,
yeah.
Devil's Advocate. Same with JFK. Everybody almost is dead since that assassination. Trump said, I'll release some of the records to the CIA. He says, the ones you want me to block, I'll block. And one of those that connects Oswald said, I'm going to go work for NASA. There's always an aerospace connection that I study, the black budget technology, but that's a whole other subject. I won't get into.
Yeah, that's good though.
Yeah, no, and it's true. Like even though 9/11 happened 25 years ago, the States is still under the Patriot Act. Like, that wasn't even supposed to be temporary, right? And it never got stopped, never got lifted. So it almost seems like every president's eager to use it for some evil purpose.
And again, I said I didn't want to go too far down it, but again, just a brief history lesson for America for those who don't know, and most people are probably doing that by now. This size of the Patriot Act proves that document was written well before 9/11 happened. It was ready to be rushed in a massive document with unprecedented legal powers in this country, letting them do things they've never been able to do, and everybody rubber stamped it because of 9/11. Hey, save us! We're going to give you unprecedented legal powers, and it changed. The game changed. Americans began being spied on. Mass surveillance went in the country. They had information on everybody in the name of national security, and it was supposed to be sunsetted. It was supposed to go away after a while. Is it ever going to go away? No. You don't. They're never going to give up those powers that they got on September 11th. So and then going too far. I won't go any further than that. 9/11 is a big issue.
No, I think it's important. One of the aspects, Devil's Advocates, I don't know if you know this, it's called continuity government, right? COG. And that was put into place after World War I, World War II. The impetus was good in case of a nuclear war. The great Peter Dale Scott, he's 9 years old. He's still a prolific author. He invented the term deep state, right? And he has a book called American Deep State. You may have read it. He studied continuity government and its emergency powers. And now it's so out of control. This started really during the Reagan years. Billions of dollars went into continuity government. Oliver North first spoke about it in the hearings. Daniel Inouye from Hawaii, in charge of the hearings, shut him down because you couldn't talk about continuity government. That was all the drug running, right? CIA. Oliver North was bringing it up. There was a red zone. You couldn't talk about it. Now, mainstream media, it's fascinating. Now they talk about continuity government. They put it right in front of your face. And we got to talk about it because, you got NORAD over there in the States, different commanders, right? The COG commander. Those are the people that are in charge, especially of an upcoming, another emergency, so-called, as you said, using national security. You got to understand and talk about continuity of government. We saw Justin Trudeau here in Canada. He used it, Justin Trudeau, for the truckers, and it's a big deal. It's one of the most important things, I think. And the Kirk so-called assassination, I think they used elements of continuity of government. And by the way, 9/11, as you may know, Devil's Advocates and Ellie, Dick Cheney, and we know George Bush went in there and they used continuity of government, particularly Dick Cheney organizing, right? You're reorganizing the government after so-called catastrophe, an emergency. And that's really what it is.
I don't want to plug too much of my own stuff, but I do want to say that I've got a person I'm collaborating with now. He runs a Substack channel called State of the Deep, and we are going to start doing a show called Deep Devils, where we dive into just what you're talking about, the foundational stuff like the Patriot Act, Operation Mockingbird, the continuity of government, how those things have set up a scenario in America now where we're at, which is basically it's huge. It's too much to cover in a conversation like this in 1 hour or whatever. So, but it's big, yeah. And then so we're going to dive into those things for the people that want to get into a deeper level on those.
I'm sure your audience appreciate that, and the United States there and Canada, because it's very, very important. Continuity to go.
Yeah, it's scary when you look into it, what it does exactly, and how it could be manipulated.
And you know, another thing, Devil's Advocates and Ellie, I don't want to piss off some of these agencies. So I always say not everybody's bad, these agents, including the FBI. I get hard on them, as a lot of people do. We degrade some of these agencies because we know, Devil's Advocate said earlier, it's very, very corrupt. The corrupt protect the corrupt. But I think who really controls the USA? I think we know in large part and around the world, it's elements of the CIA. And look no further than back in history with JFK, for example. And people will say, well, some people say it was the mob. Well, no, the mob doesn't have the power to take out a president. The CIA will have used a couple of mob gunmen perhaps, but that is the CIA. And their mandate and elements of the FBI is to lie, deny, and deceive at the expense of American taxpayers. And when you study the aerospace companies, sometimes how they work, defense contractors, you start to see this. And the CIA control a lot of what's going on in the aerospace companies as well. So when we open more people's eyes to some of these agencies, a lot of people, they don't want to talk about it for some reason. You know, what was the CIA behind Kirk? Are they behind the staging? And we know the FBI is involved too, of course, in a big way.
Maybe
So
want to live, Jason.
just saying. Pardon?
Yeah, man. Right. Yeah. Some people actually don't want to have an accident or suddenly fall on their knife 37 times and die because they talked about something, and it's true.
That's right.
I do want to say another thing too. Like I've been breaking down a book. I do a book series on my website on a book by Whitney Webb called One Nation Under Blackmail. It talks about how the mob and organized crime got into the FBI and the CIA and have compromised them, and they're all in bed together using, for example, the allegations are, for example, that the CIA basically goes after drugs to shut down their competitors so that their business partners can run drugs and more efficiently. Now that sounds crazy stuff, but the foundations are there in books like One Nation Under Blackmail. But I do want to add one thing though to what you said, which is our government is very, very stovepiped. The left hand does not know what the right hand is doing. Let me assure you, just to say, there are plenty of excellent men and women who go into the CIA, the FBI, any form of law enforcement or the government to do the right thing. And not every, when you say the government did it, you have to understand there are good people who have no idea that there are black budgets and dark elements that are under the radar. And again, you have critics in the public who will say, well, if the government did it, then why did they do this? Why does the Department of Justice go after it if the FBI? Because the FBI and the Department of Justice don't work together. Like they're all stovepiped and they don't even know what one thing is doing or the other. So again, where I'm going with that is just keep in mind, if we get too anti-government sounding, that there are plenty of good people in the government and not everybody knows what's going on. And some of these are pockets within the government. So it's not, you can't just blame the whole system, in my opinion.
Just like some of the disinformations on agents on YouTube. Yeah. Some of them, they may not even know that they're being used.
Right.
And I like, by the way, I like Candace Owens. I just want to bring up really quickly. Ellie knows, very familiar with Candace Owens. She puts out some good information, but as Ellie and I know, you notice she's got a lot of viewers on YouTube. Is she censored? No. And you got to wonder why. And remember, my friends, a lot of these grifters, Tucker Fucker Carlson's, Dr. Shiva talks about it too. They don't tell you the truth at the right time. Delayed truth is deadly, just like 9/11. We're getting more information, on the Mossad operation, largely on that, the CIA, but we didn't get much truth at the very beginning of it, except those that really researched it, right? So tell the truth at the right time. And sometimes I still question about Kirk, no one's perfect.
the JFK thing, you said the answer. Here, the reason why documents are starting to become unsealed in JFK is because everybody who's involved in it is dead. Like if you just wait long enough and everybody dies off, nobody can counter the story. So now it's safe to release documents because nobody can counter you because they died.
But devil's advocates, Donald Trump, he's still blocked. He was supposed to release all the records. I think it was supposed to even be done under Clinton. Then they delayed. Then Trump comes in office. He tells the CIA, I'll block what you want me to block. And one of those blocks, they don't want you to connect the aerospace companies to this assassination. Everybody that Oswald, when he disappeared, and everybody in that CIA headquarters there, downtown Texas, they all disappeared. Where'd they go? Garrison found out, the head of the investigation, that brilliant prosecutor, lawyer, right? He found out they all went to work for the aerospace companies. He couldn't figure it out, the military-industrial complex. So you got Wall Street, you got CIA, you got the aerospace companies, and they run so much of what goes on today in a lot of these psyops, you know? But I don't think Kirk would have a goddamn clue as to what the black budget's all about. But then again, you never know. There's a lot of things that Kirk probably knew that we don't know. And was he being read in by CIA and certain things? I don't know. What do you think, Ellie?
That was a smart boy. He impressed me, okay? Because I don't impress easy. I mean, I'm not even impressed by Musk, and he's supposed to have a IQ of 249 or something. Charlie Kirk had a memory of a whip, and he's really well versed on a lot of different subjects, not just politics and religion. But he could yak stuff out of the Bible that I mean, how do you store that kind of knowledge? I mean, the guy was right.
Yeah, here's the thing with Charlie Kirk. I think what you're saying is correct. One, again, understanding. I understand Charlie Kirk is an extremely polarizing individual and has said a lot of things that people really don't like. And so I'm not trying to defend what he did or didn't say, but he's a smart guy and he was great at debate, and he was building a momentum. There are people who saying Charlie Kirk was in line to be the president someday of the United States. He was on it, and he was getting a huge base. That is a big reason to have this guy killed, because he's smart and he knows that they're hiding stuff. What is an argument? It's an argument. He's smart. He knows they're hiding stuff, and he's got a lot of people who will listen to him. So if he starts putting pressure to open up the Epstein files and talk about Israeli connections to the U.S. government or anything like that, people are going to listen to that guy because he's smart, he's charismatic, and it's weird. He's charismatic, but he's also polarizing. Like, you either love or hate that guy. But the point being is that he was building a really big base, and people were listening. And if he says, hey, we need to open the Epstein files, they're like, yeah, listen to Charlie Kirk, open the Epstein files. And like, that would threaten a lot of people in our government, in my opinion.
And I think, guys, would you agree that some of his young followers, I would describe, is it true, that they would be change agents, meaning actual research shows, Dr. Shiva talks about this all the time, 20% of people, they want to change the world. Kind of like you two, I believe, in your own small, humble way, you're trying to be a catalyst for change. As I said in one of my speeches, myself and the crowd, 30%, you'll never change their mind. 50% are on the fence. I describe they're well-meaning, positive people we could potentially educate. They're the ones that are wondering, should I show up at like a freedom rally? Should I show up at the trucker movement, support these truckers, et cetera, et cetera? So would you agree that some of Kirk's followers naturally would be change agents? They want to change the world, and that's a threat, I would think, to some of these global financial predators, is it not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good argument.
Kirk leads
sure.
that, right?
Yeah,
Somewhat.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't agree with everything Kirk said. I mean, but I could appreciate his talent. I can appreciate his honesty. He honestly, he didn't attack people. He just said, look, I don't agree with your lifestyle, or I don't agree with what you think, but you're still a person. You're still doing things with your life. He was always kind of positive. Like he'll grab what positive he could from the most negative person. And I watched him just be human, but be a smart human. He's a very...
You've got a great point. I feel like we've forgotten in America in particular how to be able to have disagreements and have civil conversations. And that's what he did well, is because he could look you in the eye and say, look, I disagree with your opinion, but I can still treat you with respect. A lot of people have lost that ability in America. We just treat each other like shit. We just start calling you names, and we start trying to, well, you're horrible. And then we associate you with the worst things, and you polarize, and he'd be like, look, it's okay to disagree. You can look me in the eye and you can say you disagree with me, and we're okay with that. Let's just have a dialogue and treat each other like humans. And that was one of the reasons why I think he resonated with a lot of people, is he could debate somebody and still treat them very respectfully and say, hey, look, I disagree with your opinion. And man, that's okay. You know.
And he was great at diffusing situations. When somebody's all pumped up and hyped up, he can shut them down, but he can diffuse it so that they're not going to jump over the
jump over the table.
People were hyped enough to want to do that, but he was able to verbally diffuse them, right? Like, and get them to think somewhat rational. I don't know. I found him really an amazing human being, and I think it's
those were the strong points of Kirk. Yeah, we all have, as you know, strengths and flaws. Everybody's got some sort of flaw in their personality, and you hope you evolve your thinking. I got a long ways to go. I still make a lot of mistakes, obviously. But back to the rabbit hole, folks, of what went down. You know, the guy, the 22, 23-year-old you guys talked about earlier, we talked about earlier, that is probably going to go to court, right? Who knows if they'll seal the records on that. But he was standing in front of his computer. Did you guys see that one of those photos? And the computer, Devil's Advocates, I don't know if you saw it. Ellie knows. It showed New Zealand. And it's Goat Island. Now, remember, Kash Patel is telling the world. Remember, he's saying Kirk is my brother, and had a wonderful, beautiful soliloquy sentence or two. At the end of the sentence, he says, I'll see you in Valhalla. Valhalla has a couple different metaphor meanings, apparently. I forget what those meanings are. They're beautiful. I don't know if it's heavens or something. Anyway, but there's a location, and Valhalla is in New Zealand. Now, the million-dollar question I have is there a WITSIC program in places like New Zealand? We know it's in Puerto Rico. Your United States has that, Devil's Advocates, and all over different places in Montana. We got one in Labrador in Canada, I found out. Is there one in New Zealand? If there is, does that lead any credence to possibly a Kirk and maybe one day his wife, if they're alive still, we hope they are, in New Zealand? That's the question I have. And why was he in front of that computer with New Zealand on it? Is that the way the Fed's putting it right in front of your face? Don't decipher. You're not going to be able to decrypt and elucidate. We're going to put it right in front of your face, because they do the same thing on the military patches with the aerospace companies. But if you can elucidate, decrypt symbols in a patch, you start to understand what goes on in a program. Is this kind of like what they did with this guy? You don't think that's coincidence? I don't think it's coincidence. This guy standing in front of New Zealand, and then Kash Patel, what he said. That's, I find very interesting. Well, I don't know what you guys think.
I can verify that was on the screen, because anyone could have plopped that in there with a good graphics program.
Oh, shit, I didn't know that. Damn.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to see if I could find that photo with any other picture in the screen, right? Because
I have to say, I hadn't heard that, and I love it. It's right in my wheelhouse. It's probably not something I would go to the public on my YouTube channel with right away. I would have to vet the hell out of that before I go talk publicly. Doesn't mean I'm not interested, because I am super interested in that stuff, but I'm probably not going to go do a YouTube video about it until I've vetted the hell out of it. But like Ellie was saying, the problem is AI has gotten super good. Photoshop, 15-year-olds can Photoshop anything into a picture and add something or remove something in 2 seconds. So we've gotten to the stage where you really can't believe your own eyes. So you really, really got to be careful when you're going down those things, because if someone's got a really clever storytelling ability, I'm not saying you, but I'm, not that you aren't a good storyteller, but what I'm saying is, I'm not saying you're making up a story, but if a person wants to be a good storyteller, they could take one image and build a whole story around it. So, I just have to be careful, but it's really cool. I'm super interested. I want to pull that thread myself now.
I think that pic is from the FBI itself, but I am not 100%, but I think so.
Well, I have a bunch of pictures of him when he was first announced as the shooter. All kinds of pictures were coming out, and I started grabbing them all. I still have to go through my download section and get them all set. But I want to somehow find and verify that picture, because as a graphics person, I do that kind of stuff all the time. I'll plop a little picture on a TV screen, or put video in the TV or whatever. So it's a really good way that you can change. It could have said Windows on it for all we know, right?
Yeah. Right.
But I do have the video about the Valhalla I can send to your email.
I'd love that. I'd love that. Yeah.
It's kind of, it's just,
when you send it to me, when you send it to me, could you also please send me how the hell I'm supposed to find more than 24 hours in a day? Because that's the problem I have right now. I get sent so much stuff. I haven't figured out how I'm supposed to find the time to watch it. So if you've got a clue on how I can get more than 24 hours in a day, send that along with that file. But I would like to see the file or anything you've got.
Work twice as fast.
I'm working on it.
Hey,
Yeah.
Ellie, I was wondering, would you mind bringing up to Devil's Advocate, ask Lee, tell him what you thought, please, of the wife and her video that she fed to the public of the hands, kissing Kirk's hands, and what makeup artists sort of believe that really represents some makeup artists. What do you think?
I don't think those hands were real. I think that was a dummy. It didn't look real to me. And I've seen a lot of dead bodies. Don't get me wrong. My grandmother, grandfather, my mother. I mean, I've seen a lot of dead bodies. Okay, and I know what they look like. It was just plastic. It was like plastic hands, like kind of like those. Have you ever done not a medics course, but what do you call it? First aid course?
Yeah,
they have these dummies, and
The
they're like,
dummy,
they have these dummies with the flesh, so that's what it looked like to me. And she was rubbing the hand, and then she went down to kiss the hand and stuff. There was no hair, no finger, and there was no definition on the knuckles, no nothing. That stuff is still there when they're embalmed.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, so it was just kind of like, and the way they were positioned, I'd never seen hands positioned like that. Normally they're crossed over the chest or the stomach or down at the side. But I've never seen them just laying that way on the leg like that. I've never seen that before. It's just that whole video was weird. Why would you, I get it if she was doing it for a keepsake for her own self. Why would you put that on your Instagram account?
Yeah.
Why would you post it on the internet? That's a little too personal and a little too much. To me, I think she was trying to push a narrative, to help push a narrative, just like you were talking about with how she needed to help the media. So I think she put that out as a help the media with the narrative.
I think so. All part of the theater, I think, pushing the psyop, man.
Yeah, definitely. No, like it's from the start, this whole thing's been.
And by the way, mainstream media, I'm sure you know this, Lee. I assume you would agree with this, and especially concerning the Idaho 4. I'm sure you talked about in your videos that Kirk, and to do with Kirk, what happened to him, it's this highly charged emotional narrative that mainstream media constantly trying to get you to focus. Oh my God, like what happened? 4 students stabbed to death in the most brutal way, and right from the get-go. It's like, really? Really? Yeah. Show me the concrete evidence that actually happened. What about Kirk? What all these red flags? Like, did it really happen?
Yeah. Yeah.
And think extraction removal operation, folks. These things happen. This would be if we're right, a public extraction operation. Kirk is going to live a beautiful life. He was a rich boy probably for a long time, and I think he's still going to live a beautiful lifestyle. I hope. And I think it's a real possibility. Hardly anybody wants to actually talk about that.
Well, the more this goes on, the more I'm convinced he could or not. I'm not saying he's not dead like I was at first. Like I totally was doubting it, and but now I'm leaning towards, okay, if you can give me a little more proof, I'll buy that he's dead. But now we got to focus on how and why and who.
Yeah.
So,
that's the bottom line. Stay for everybody. It's it's a good on you that you are open-minded, that even when you said, I think it's this way, you're later willing to change your mind. And I think everyone needs to be that way. Is one, I sure wish that the media would stop telling us, and public officials would stop telling us that we should be ashamed, like we're victim shaming. How dare you say that this wasn't real because that was a human being and you're disrespecting his wife and his family and his kids and his parents. And they always want you to focus on how you're a piece of shit because you question the narrative.
That's right.
But being open-minded to ask questions and removing your emotions is important. Remove your emotions. Don't be dug in on something, and just ask questions and realize that it's okay to ask questions. But
That's
and
right.
if you didn't want the public asking questions, you shouldn't be a public figure. To be
Exactly.
fair. But,
Yeah. No, I always like to have an open mind, because I mean, we don't always know, right?
Yeah.
We know what we're only as good as the information we can find, or the information that we are given. So we kind of got to deduce everything from there. But you always have to be able to say, okay, maybe what I believe was wrong, and okay, maybe it's this. So let's concentrate on this now. So I would rather do that than argue with people and say, no, I'm right. No, you're right. No, I'm right. So it goes nowhere, and it doesn't help.
Yeah.
So I do believe there's a possibility he actually is dead, but I think I would need that little bit more proof, because everything I've seen proves that he's alive.
Yeah.
But
wait till you see the picture, Ellie. I'm sorry, I interrupted. Go ahead.
Jason, if you could see that lapel thing, if you watch the Stu Peters video that I do have, it actually, you can see the shirt jerked that way, and then the wound. But okay, all that blood came out. Where's the blood trail to the truck? Where's all the blood splatter? There would be a ton of blood splatter if that was the type of weapon that was used. Where's the blood splatter? Why was, so I would have to have more answers before I could say, okay, but then I believe Charlie's dead.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Right. But as for, I'm always skeptical. I don't believe anything I'm told, because the most credible people can be wrong.
Yeah.
And the most people that are most sure of themselves have tunnel vision. So, I mean, I've seen it too many times. I'm 64 years old, and I've seen it through my whole life, even with my own self, where I have so pig-headed and tunnel vision. I totally didn't see things that I should have saw if I'd have questioned things more.
Yeah.
So the last, decade or two, I've really been more skeptical. Like when 9/11 happened, that was the big one for me, and I was tearing that to pieces.
Yeah.
So I totally understand.
I was tunnel vision like a lot of people on the Idaho 4, right? For the first year and a half, I bought into the PSYOP. I thought the red on the foundation, the house, the one thing they had to put in front of your eyes to make you think an atrocity happened. I thought, well, I guess it's what they said largely, except I didn't believe Bryan Kohberger did it, but I thought it had to have happened. But then you start to question what other people started saying online, but not too many. Where are the body bags? Where's the leaked crime scene photos? As Bertie said, every high-profile case nowadays, almost every single one, you're going to get leaked crime scene photos and or, autopsy photos. Did it happen in the Idaho 4? Authentic raw crime scene. And there were college students, as Ellie said, all over the campuses. You don't think somebody would be taking pictures? Come on, folks. And it didn't happen because it was all staged crime scene. And then you have the boxes. We went over that on the Idaho 4. Bertie did. I'm sure Devil's Advocates talked about North American Relocation Services, parent company Serva, that works with the feds, man. They protect confidential informants at times, and they do regular moves. But, I mean, and you're going to have North American Relocation Services on the boxes, and they're connected to the U.S. Marshal's Office. I mean, folks, staging, theater, and a lot of drug investigations. But anyway, that's not to do with Kirk, though.
Yeah, no.
At least we don't have to talk about drugs with Kirk's movement. There's no drug talk here, right?
Not yet. Give it another couple of days. We'll get it.
Right. Give it time. But no, I've seen everyone, every possible shooter getting mentioned. But, like when I seen the lapel thing, I'm like, that's pretty telling. But I still want to look further at it and get it close up and put it in my graphics program and kind of close it up. But
do you guys think
it's a viable thing now, because that actually they do exist. Even the Israeli had the pager bombs and stuff like that. So I mean, there's all kinds of stuff, right? Little gadgets and gizmos that have been around for 20, 30 years. We just didn't know about them. You got to realize the military has shit for 20 years before we ever get a look at it.
Yeah.
Right.
If you remember the show Airwolf, when that helicopter came out in that show, we were all like, oh wow.
Well, I show you, Ellie, they're even 40, 50, 60, 70 years ahead. One of the astronauts that died claimed, in some respects, sometimes it's 100 years. And they made the gravity breakthrough I show in my videos, Ellie knows, back in the 1950s, folks, and showing pictures of flying saucers. Hello. So, yeah, Ellie's right. But don't you guys think reason, logic, common sense? If you're going to stage, let's say, hypothetically, Kirk, I believe this is true, that Kirk has not been unalived. Doesn't it look like from those pictures that there was a blood pack? Ellie always thought this. Underneath that shirt, it looks like there's tubes. And then if you're the feds, you were going to use like a pellet gun, most likely, or shock. People have said like a remote control. You shock Kirk, not to kill him, and you saw the reaction, but probably a pellet. It hits the blood pack. They've rehearsed this, and we saw the remnants. Some blood comes out, whatever, but no blood trail, and on we go. And then you need a trap door. You got to get him out the back door. Easy to put a trap door on the grass. And wait till you see that picture again, the guy they lifted. No logo on that shirt. You'll see it for yourselves, guys, when we get that up on
how
video.
they pulled that off with all those people around looking, though. And you got to realize there was 10.
So just to play devil's advocates, I mean, because I don't really necessarily buy that theory, but I think it's got teeth to it. I have seen the trapdoor thing. I've seen but to play devil's advocates, Ellie, to your, how do they do it with all the people around? Do you remember years ago, people like David Copperfield would make the Statue of Liberty disappear right in front of you? It's all done with mirrors. So you can do things in a way that makes it look like that something's not there when it's right there in front of you still. It hasn't moved, but they can deceptively make it look like it hasn't. So I'm not saying that's what I think happened. But playing devil's advocates, well, how could they do that with all those people around? We've seen things disappear in front of people with mirrors if you do things right and stuff like that. So I don't know. But again, I'm not even saying that I'm going down that rabbit hole. Just there are ways to.
I've seen before without all the people sitting there and the tent and everything. I've seen that area. It's solid ground.
It would be.
There's no way.
It would be very, very, very difficult.
Yeah, they would have to put it in to have it. So I don't buy that. I think they might.
But you've heard the theory. Have you heard the theory about the projector behind that's a holographic projector that was supposed to have projected things there? So I mean, there's a million theories. I mean,
yeah. No, I'm well aware of the magic stuff, but. It's even if they carried him to that truck, there was no blood trail. And that's even more fishy because he would still be bleeding out. They would be covered in blood. They didn't even have blood on their hands. Like what the ever living hell is going on with this case? And they won't give us any answers to all of our questions. People are trying to get the autopsy photos. They're like, okay, then the guy's like, okay, well, then we know what's going on now, right? It's like they're hiding everything they should be giving us to prove to us to shut us up, right?
Right.
The autopsy would be a major one of it. But they know we're not buying what the coroner said already about the bullet bouncing around and stuff because, like, those caliber bullets don't bounce around. They go through shit.
Yeah.
30-06, they go through shit, right? Like, you could shoot that through the grill of a moving car and probably into the engine, like a 50 caliber. So, I mean, that thing would have knocked him right off that chair, and there would have been splatter everywhere and on everybody. So it was not a 30-06 bullet. Other people are saying, could it have been a smaller caliber bullet? It could have been, but that would have meant the kid didn't do it because he had a 30-06.
Right.
So I'm just trying to do all the variables here with all the different stories, but we need the facts, and that's the problem. They're not giving us the facts. They're letting us shapeshift our own, our own view, which might be safer for them if we're always bitching and arguing like Stu Peters and Alex Jones back and forth in a cat fight. That's probably what they're hoping everyone will do, and this will just kind of go
and it's the principle. I liken it to the principle of giving you enough rope to hang yourself. They'll allow people to run with theories that they know they can debunk later, and then it shuts down all questions. Like, look, all you idiots thought it was this, and we proved it wasn't. All you idiots thought it was this, and we proved it wasn't. So therefore, every theory that you've come up with, and one of those probably is right, that's also been debunked because we've already proved you're wrong about 5 others. So if you give them enough rope to hang themselves, and we make mistakes, and we get it wrong, and they can prove we got it wrong, then they can shut you down and say, nothing you say from this point forward can be taken seriously because you were wrong about point A. Forget the fact that they might have been right about point C.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. And that's what Jones and Peter are doing right now.
yeah.
Back and forth. You're a Mossad agent. No, did the Mossad
Yeah.
hire you? Come on, quit finger pointing and worry about the topic at hand, right? I mean, okay,
Yeah.
you could be right. I don't think you are, but we can agree to disagree. What the hell happened to that? Like,
Right.
why does everyone have to be assaulting everybody? And,
Yeah.
you know, it seems to be more counterproductive than working
Yeah.
together to find out what really happened, right?
Sure.
That's kind of what I was hoping the community at large would do is because all the technology we have now, but it seems now people are using AI to recreate this thing, and it's totally throwing a screw into everything because AI only picks up what it sees, right? So, you know, make up shit from there. It's like, I don't trust AI, you know, even to give a better view of something, you know, can you sharpen this up? I don't trust it. So I'm going by the original camera views that we have. And it's just weird how different angles can give you a total different view on what happened.
Yeah.
Right. And that I kind of found with the one victim, the one video I put out by Russian Vids. He's a YouTube channel, really good channel. He showed the black thing jumping to his neck.
Yeah.
But like I said, then I looked in the Stu Peters video and I saw that it got folded under the shirt when it kind of folded over. So I need to look at all these videos better, but I do. There's so much sketchy about this. It at least gives us something to look at and talk about because
I don't think has anybody like on TV, YouTube, or mainstream, have they ever criticized if it was going by it's a real assassination, Kirk is DEA dead, unalived? Has there been any talk about, well, why are people criticizing his security detail? I haven't heard anybody, especially if you got 3 or 4 potential gunmen. Pardon?
There's a couple of people saying that his detail killed him. I'm like, no.
I think YouTubers, I don't know that mainstream media is questioning his security detail, but I think YouTubers were. I mean, one of the first videos I made was a members only video showing how it looked like they were making hand signals to call in the shot. And people were kicking me in the teeth going, that wasn't, that couldn't have been because that's his own security detail. And I'm like, do you not realize that somebody's own security detail can be compromised to get their guy, so, I mean, I don't want to, I realize that guy, for example, is a human being. And if that guy was a friend of Charlie's and have been protecting him at all the rallies and he's always been with them by his side, and if he really truly cares about the guy, it's horrible for me to say that guy looks like he was calling in a shot. But I took emotions out of it and said, look, I don't know the guy personally. I don't even know the guy personally. I'm just saying what I see. It looks like somebody's calling in a shot. That's what it looks like. Somebody's making hand signals and it looks like they're making sure they're clearing to make sure that's what I see with my eyes if I take emotions out. So I don't know the guy personally. I'm not going to insult him, but it looks that way to me.
A good security detail is going to have people all over. So they're going to have to give each other signals that everything's okay, or we're kind of worried about this or whatever. They can do so much by this.
Yeah.
But I mean, with all the noise that was there that day, I just think the hand signal thing might have been one of the ways that his security were communicating with each other. Yes, he could have been calling in the shot too. We don't know. I still think that guy that was flicking his arm and laughing, and he laughed when Charlie went back and got shot. He went, ha, ha, he did this. That was the guy he was flicking. Alex Jones said he ducked down. No, he didn't. He was laughing when Charlie went down in his chair. So I think if there was a lapel mic gun, he was the one that set it off by flicking the thing, because he flicked his arm 2 or 3 different times. Like Val Venus, the ex-WWE wrestler, has been putting this on his channel every day. He's convinced this was a handgun, right, in the guy's hand. Right. It wasn't. But I believe he could have been setting off that mic gun if that was indeed how it happened. Right. That would be the best way to set it off, having someone right in front of him. Maybe the first few pulls it didn't work because something got in the way. And then third time, bam, because he laughed when it happened. Right? So, I'm going to be looking at all the video. I got to put them all together. I have probably 30 different versions at all different angles, and I still can't find a way that I can say that this kid had a clear shot from that angle. We gotta
Yeah.
we gotta decide which building he was on and where that is from where the tent was set up, which I can do because I have a video of the guy doing a walk around on the whole school and on the roof when this went down, like just the day after or two after. So I got that.
By the
video.
way, before I forget, guys, me personally, I don't know if you guys feel the same way. I'll be interested to see the comments when this is uploaded on YouTube, God willing, to see the YouTubers, how many think he was unalived, how many think he's alive, and why do they think he's potentially alive? Do they agree with Jason, or Estes crime news, I should say? And do they agree with a lot of what Ellie and Devil's Advocates has said? So hopefully we'll get a lot of, I'm sure we will get some good engagement. I'm at about 135,000 on TikTok. I should have promoted your guys' channel within those 10 minutes on that video. Shit, I didn't know it was going to go viral, but I would have done that.
You never know. And you know what? But yeah, as a side tangent, I get so annoyed at people. You freaking YouTubers jumping over this Kirk thing for clickbaiting. It is the #1 biggest issue in America right now. Of course, people are going to talk about it. Well, maybe it's now been trumped by Trump saying he's going to indict the former FBI director and arrest Obama. Maybe that's becoming bigger. But the point being is that this is an enormous story. Of course, people are talking about it. Quit trying to shut down the narrative by like, oh, you guys are just talking about it for clickbaiting. No, it's like the #1 thing. People are talking about that in the offices, at their coffee, at their churches, in the grocery store. Everyone's talking about this, not just YouTubers.
Yeah, and as Ellie said, Kirk had almost as many followers as Trump. I mean, over 3 million followers, and now many more, right, after his
he had way more than
demise.
3 million. He just, that's all that they had known they could verify, but no, he had way more people than that. And this people that had never heard of him before or really heard his work or whatever, that watched him afterwards, who were so taken by him. And that's how easy this guy could grab people, because he was that articulate. I think that was his main skill, was so I just think, this will be the next top for the next probably 2 to 3 years. This is going to be a huge topic. There's probably going to be a million different theories that go down, and I'd be interested to hear them. What people are saying.
And to be fair, now I don't, I'll never have a following like Charlie Kirk has, but what worries me is that at the end of the day, what I see Charlie Kirk is a lot like me. I'm a person who likes to ask questions and have deep conversation. Is somebody going to shoot me in the head someday because they don't like what I have to say and they don't like the questions I'm asking? Because that's all he was doing. He's just asking questions and just talking, So.
No, the answer is no, but they want to bring up, great point, Devil's Advocates, they want to bring up that fear, uncertainty, and doubt. That's the goal of the elites constantly, it seems, to do that, to make you think that, they could shut somebody else. They could kill somebody else that gets real big and speaking out against the government. But, I
would be more afraid of the government than I would citizens.
Yeah, right. Well, and then the conspiracy part is the government does it and then blames it on the citizens. So.
Exactly. Well, I think that's what they're doing this time, because nothing points to this kid. And, I'm interested to see when he hits court what happens, because
And I'm really big into following the court cases. In fact, as a side, one of the first things I did is I read the actual indictment of Tyler Robinson, and I read it word for word on screen, and I broke down things, and I said, look, here we see now screenshots of apparently Tyler talking to his roommate saying, hey, it's Tyler Robinson, and I just killed that guy. And people are like, I can't believe he said those things. And I'm like, look at the indictment. That's not what they said he said. In the indictment, it's different wording. So let's look, I like to follow the legal documents and say, because the legal documents is the official story, right? So whatever makes it into the courthouse, that's going to be the official story. Everything else is narrative. And even that doesn't mean that even what's in the court system isn't some narrative as well. But the point being is that I'm really big on breaking down the legal documents and go, this is what was actually said in the court of law. All that shit you hear on mainstream media, if it doesn't match what's said in the court of law, then that was just narrative shaping. So.
Yeah, that's a great point, Devil's Advocates, but I want you to just not forget this. When you do things like the Idaho 4, where I believe the government does insert sometimes USC code 31 WITSEC, they can fudge court docs too.
Sure.
And I think at times we saw that. So you got to be very, very careful as well. If we really want to get to the truth on some of these red flag events, I believe, just understand the government can also do that too. And I know you just said you already know that, so that's cool.
And I agree, and that's why I work both ways, because when it's put in the court system, it happened this way, and everybody in America saw it happen a different way. You call them out on that too. Oh, funny, you say it happened this way, but yet we all saw on TV it didn't happen that way. So how did that become the official record in the court? So yeah, it goes both ways. Let's double check what we see on TV versus what they say in the court. Make sure it all matches up, and if it doesn't, and it doesn't pass the sniff test, we start asking questions.
Yeah, it's kind of like with the gas station where there's a disagreement between the customer and the guy in the booth. The pump will be taken as correct, right? Well, the court documents are the pump, and that's what will be taken as correct,
right?
Above all else. I mean, those can be changed, those can be altered, but by the courts. So they are basically the gold standard. They are the bar for what's going on with that case.
Right.
So you're correct in that, you know, the court documents will
be the official narrative.
The official, Like they can't just say, well, we didn't say that. It's in the fucking document.
Right. On this date, you said it, and it's in the court. Yeah.
So it's kind of like I said, this is going to be a huge topic for years, and we got to be careful how we. Not only do we got to show respect. Whether he's dead or not dead, doesn't matter. We got to show respect to him and his family because, you know, like, but we also have to watch we don't get lawsuits because Erica could be suing people left and right. If we start saying things that like we should not say or without proof should not be saying kind of thing, like the People's Voice are saying she did it. Okay. And they're opening themselves up for a huge lawsuit. Because can you prove that before you say
so
it?
let me just do one little caveat for people for those out in America about the whole being sued over things. First of all, keep in mind most of us will, and we didn't say it enough in here, we should be making it clear. This is opinion and commentary. We're not to be taken as the news or as facts, number one. Number two, defamation suits not only have to be a lie about somebody important, but the person saying the statement has to knowingly know it was a lie and said it anyways. When we're saying things, we don't know it's a lie. If we end up being wrong about a fact, it's different than a real defamation case, which is that you know that wasn't true and you said it anyways to ruin someone's reputation. Nothing, if I believe that we're saying here today, any of us, is something that we know is a lie and we're telling you anyways to try and ruin somebody's career. That's the ground of a defamation case. Is that you know it's not true and you said it anyways.
But I'm saying creators in the next couple of years are really going to have to watch how they present things. I mean, presentation is everything, right? But you're right. Like I usually put a disclaimer in the beginning, like this is our opinions. Yeah. Aside from the facts and proof that we show you, what we, you know, our opinions are just that. It's just our opinions, right? And I and Jason both, while we talk, we say, in my opinion, right?
Yeah.
I've had to tell Jason a few times you should say that more because you don't want to get sued. You know,
just
thank you,
people.
Yeah. I have, by the way, some of my TikTokers, they want me to go to New Zealand, and and if I'm correct, and track Kirk down somehow. If one person says he's in a Danish house, I don't know how they know that, but to go to New Zealand and check out Valhalla, and anyway, try to track down Kirk. But either way, if wherever he is, if he is alive, we can only hope that he is, you know, that he'll be well protected. And somebody like me, I'm not endangering him. Some people will say, oh, Jason, you're in danger. And same with the family of the Idaho 4, right? Bullshit. That's what the WITSEC program's for. Federal Witness Security Protection Program. They're well protected. They'll be insulated, whoever's in these programs. Somebody like me is not going to endanger them because I'm saying that I think they're alive in Puerto Rico or wherever. Come on.
No, but not to side tangent too much, but if you were right, for example, and if they were right and he was in New Zealand and you went there and he is protected, your life is in danger. Because if you can get a photo and prove to everybody in the world that the PSYOP was real and there's a picture of him, I don't think you're going to get that picture taken. You might just have an accident on that island.
Thank you for that warning. I appreciate it. I'm not going to New Zealand anytime soon then.
Good call.
No. If you do it through Google Earth.
Right.
Yeah, no, I think people are going to have to be careful. But I mean, I've just seen so much people just rambling speculation and rambling accusations, and I'm like, I kind of cringe because I'm like, oh man, like the shit that can happen. If you just piss someone off, you know, like one of their supporters or whatever could come after you too. Just like, I mean.
Well, that's why I said I think a good thing about some of his supporters, that a lot of them were young, they had lots of energy, and they wanted to, like we do, they want to see some real positive changes in the world. And if you can have discourse to open up that, whether it be discussing the trans movement, giving your opinions on this movement, that movement, this topic, that topic, that's great. As you guys said earlier, we should have that open discourse. Try to do it as respectful for the most part as you can. And I think that's where obviously Kirk excelled, or he wouldn't have been able to build up his followers the way he did, even though he had money and backing and this and that. You got to have that too, I guess, right?
Yeah. Yep. The perfect storm.
Yeah. And remember, folks, 20% of people, they want to change the world. By the way, the mistake that a lot of the 20% like myself make, and Shiva's talked about this, you get burned out trying to turn over that 30%. And one of Dr. Shiva's goals, and one day another video will describe exactly who this amazing Dr. Shiva is. He's trying to start a global bottoms-up movement for truth, freedom, and health, that if we get enough of the 20%, we'll bring over a lot of that 50%. And then, boom, you're going to have almost like a revolution overnight. Another way to do it is to call out the not-so-obvious establishment, as Shiva calls it, the Tucker Fucker Carlsons in the States, the Bernie Sanders, even Joe Rogan, even though he has some interesting guests. He's controlled. He won't have Dr. Shiva on. He knows who Dr. Shiva is. He follows him. So we got to understand this. Candace Owens, I think it's safe to say she's a good person overall, but is she part of the intelligence community? Well, I think the answer is safe bet yes. So we just got to be caution, use discernment. Don't believe everything they say, and do try to back up. Is it yay or nay? And do they tell the truth again at the right time? And there's a lot of other names we could throw it as part of the not so obvious establishment. And they're here in Canada, of course, too. Shiva thinks it's almost like they have a factory of, these people that they'll put out, right? Just making them. They're all ready to go, at any given time.
Yeah. Yep.
It's easy to call out the establishment, right? The Clintons, the Obamas now, Trump, obviously is part of the establishment. He was part of the not so obvious establishment before, I would argue, right? It's harder to call out the Booby F. Kennedy Juniors as well, because they talk some good talk, but they're designed to corral you back into the establishment. And people got to understand that. And that's what Shiva's educating a lot of people on, which I really, I'm glad that he did that. That's done enough.
Yeah.
And don't sugarcoat it. Call them Zionist cocksuckers, some of these people, because that's exactly what they are. And teach your kids as she. What's that?
But add the word allegedly or in my opinion.
Oh, yes, in my opinion. Exactly. Exactly. And Dr. Shiva says she should, in my opinion, Dr. Shiva says you should teach your kids to swear at the right time. A lot of the mistake, guys, that people make in talking about the Booby F. Kennedy Juniors, whether it be Bernie Sanders, right, Tucker Fucker Carlson, is they talk to them, these people, as if they're their friends sometimes, and they don't want to swear. They'll get on Shiva's case. Oh, you're swearing at them. You're calling them this. You're being vitriol. Well, yes, because Shiva says these people are evil. Again, in his opinion. So, you don't sugarcoat that. And when you use the strong language at times, you're going to help break people out of their brainwash at times. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Good rant.
Sorry, I'm just ranting probably, but.
We figured we better let you go, because in your opinion.
Yes.
Yeah, in my opinion, I still haven't found how to get 24 hours in a day, and I got some crap to do. And you got to send me a video so I can watch that too.
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll upload it to, I guess, Facebook for you. Are you on Facebook?
Yes.
Where can I upload it? Download it?
There's a Devil's Advocates page and group on Facebook. And it's got my logo.
Check out Devil's Advocates. His channel's amazing, folks. He's amazing. Ellie and I wanted to have him as a guest for quite a long time.
Yeah, we've been not making the connection work, so I'm glad that we finally got a chance to make it work. So
Thanks for
good
following
to be
through.
on.
Thanks for coming on, and thanks for participating and making a positive contribution on this case, the Idaho 4, and everything else you're doing. It's awesome.
And what platforms, in case this gets, aired on my side, what platforms do you guys run? How do my audience find you guys on on your platforms?
Go ahead, Jason. Tell them where you're at.
Oh, for me? Oh,
Yeah.
well, thank you. I didn't know you were talking about Estes Crime Maze on YouTube. Thank you. ESTEYS, Estes Crime Maze. Ellie is a huge, huge part of the success of this channel, what success I've had. She does, again, amazing editing. She's helped me with research, or she does most of the research, truthfully. And you guys can find me on TikTok, of course, at Jason Truth Authority. Again, I've had a Kirk video go viral over there. That's Jason Truth Authority, 135,000 views or so in 3 or 4 days. People hearing me rant about my opinions on Charlie Kirk. And I did add, folks, I want to say on YouTube again, an astronaut said this, by the way, and Shiva learned this. Alan McDonald, he was the one that didn't sign off on the launch, folks, at NASA during the Columbia catastrophe when they did launch, and because the O-rings were cold. They had never been tested at those temperatures. Anyway, on his deathbed, he was about 90 years old. He said the most important thing in life is to tell the truth at the right time. And Shiva adds, and to the right people, right, to mobilize change. And when we can remember that, I think we're going to have so much more positive change very quickly in the world. Don't delay truth if you can, folks. So thanks. I hope you'll subscribe to Estes Crime Maze. Follow me, folks, and I'm at Facebook at Jason Estey, E-S-T-E-Y. Thank you so much, Ellie, Sophia Rossetti, the lovely Ellie, and Devil's Advocates, Lee. This has been amazing. I hope we could do it again if you want in the near future.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And you can find me at Truth Inc. on Rumble. It's Truth INC, and I'm on Facebook at Sophia Rossetti, so you can find me there. And then, like
Excellent.
I said, I'll upload that to Facebook for you, and then you can download it.
Look after that fractured tooth, Lee.
I'm
drink a lot of water, buddy.
Yeah, it comes and goes. So hopefully we'll get it taken. I'm going to New York in a few weeks, and I'm hoping to get that root canal or pull or whatever is going to happen in the next couple of weeks here.
You know what works really good? What's that spice? They sell it at the store, the cotton balls, and you dip the stuff into the nutmeg, I think it is.
Okay, yeah.
I used to use it for when I got a double dry sockets, but it's also really good for broken and cracked teeth to keep the pain down.
All right, good call.
Okay.
All right, well, thank you both for having me on. It was great.
Again sometime. And
thank you. Have a great day.
Okay. Have a good one.